Good afternoon, sir. So today I, Chirag Sethi, will explain you the general heat conduction equation in spherical coordinates. So today we're gonna study general heat conduction equation in spherical coordinates. So before going on the main topic, I will firstly explore the roots of that equation and tell you basic about heat transfer. So what is heat transfer? So the movement of heat across the border of the system due to the difference in temperature between the system and its surrounding. The main reason for the transfer of heat is temperature gradient or the temperature difference. Heat is basically a form of energy, and the transfer of such energy is known as heat transfer. Here in the image we can see that on here in the image we can see that on the left hand side we have a hot body, and on the right hand side we have cold body, and in the middle they are connected. So the heat will flow from higher temperature to lower temperature. That means from left to right. Next, next we will study the basic requirements. Next, we will study the basic requirements for heat transfer. The most basic requirement for a heat transfer is presence of temperature gradient. So what is temperature gradient? Temperature gradient is a change in temperature over a specific distance between two locations. Like we have here a temperature T1 and here temperature T2. So that the difference between these both points, it will be known as temperature gradient. Whenever whenever there exists a temperature difference in a medium or between two mediums, there will be heat transfer occurs. The larger the temperature gradient, higher will be the rate of heat transfer. Like here, if we have T1 temperature and T2 temperature, the greater the difference between these 2 points, the greater will be the heat transfer. No transfer of heat takes place if there is no temperature difference between two bodies. On next slide, so in this image we can see that so in this image we can see that we had body A and body B. Body A is on a higher temperature than body B. If we connect both the bodies at a single point, like here, then due to the heat flow, after a small time, both the bodies will reach at a common temperature, which will be medium of both these blocks. So now moving on the next slide, we have application of heat transfer. Heat transfer is commonly encountered in engineering systems and other aspects of life. These other aspects of life include human body, household appliances, and heat transfer also plays a major role in design of car radiators, solar collectors, various components of power plant, spacecrafts, etc. In human body, human body, our human body constantly rejects heat to its surroundings, and human comfort is closely related to the rate of this heat rejection. In many household appliances like refrigerator, air conditioning systems, freezer, Water heater, iron and computer also rejects heat to maintain its temperature and for their safe working. So in this next slide we can see that our human body air conditioning system which use heat transfer, so for its safe working. Circuit boards, circuit boards are used in computer, design of car radiators, power plants and refrigerating systems. So now moving on the next part, we have modes of heat transfer. There are basically three modes of heat transfer. First is conduction, next is convection, and third one is radiation. Here in this image we can see that a person is boiling some water in a vessel. When the heat is being transferred from the gas stove to the vessel, it is known as radiation. In the next part, we can see in water there is some movement of water particles from lower part to upper part. This is known as convection. And in this third part, we can see that heat is being transferred from the vessel to the hand of a person through a handle. This is an example of conduction. Next, we have conduction. So, conduction is a process by which heat energy is transmitted through collision between neighboring atoms or molecules. Heat conduction is a mechanism of heat propagation from a region of higher temperature to a region of lower temperature within medium, which can be solid, liquid or gaseous, or between different mediums in direct physical contact. It is it is a transfer of energy from more energetic state to less energetic state of particles within a substance due to interaction between different particles. Conduction heat transfer in gases and liquids is due to collision and diffusion of molecules during their random motion. So in heat conduction, the molecules do not move from one place to another. They just vibrate at their own place and they collide to transfer the energy. So heat transfer in solids is due to combination of lattice vibrations of the molecules and the energy transport by free electrons. Here in this, now we'll explain the diagram. In this diagram we can see that there is a metal rod which is being heated with a flame. So when the electrons are being heated on the flame side, on the right hand side, they start vibrating. As the heat increases, their vibration increases. Now they collide with the other electrons on their left hand side, and slowly the heat is transferred to the leftmost side. The heat flows from from right side to left side. Molecules in a solid object do not move, they just vibrate or jiggle. This jiggle means they move at their own place. And we can here see that the heat is conducted from warm to cold area. So now we can see that the coefficient of thermal conductivity shows that a metal body conducts heat better than when it comes to conduction, which means that a metal body conducts heat more rapidly or transfers heat more rapidly than any other body. The rate of conduction can be calculated by following equation. So we can see this equation. Q equal to K into A into temperature of hotter part minus temperature of colder part divided by D. So what are all these? K, A, and T? Q is the transfer of heat per unit time. We have to take in consideration per unit time. Then K is the thermal conductivity of the body. A is the area of heat transfer. T hot is the temperature of hot region. T cold is the temperature of cold region, and D is the thickness of the body. So in the previous slide we can see that the area the area from which the heat is being transferred is this one. Next we have T hot. So the temperature of this end is known as T hot, and the temperature of other end is known as T cold. And we have next D, which is the thickness of the body. It is a difference between these two parts. Sorry, it is the length of this whole tube or this whole metal shield. Now we come to the part of convection. So convection is heat transfer due to the moving solids. Uh, it is transfer of energy between two mediums, typically a surface and a fluid that moves over the surface. In convection part, heat is transferred by diffusion, that is conduction, and by bulk fluid motion, which is known as advection. There are two types of convection possible. First one is natural or free convection, and second one is forced convection. So what are these natural and free convection and forced convection? So in natural or free convection, the circulation of the fluid medium is caused by buoyancy effect, that is, by the difference of densities of cold and heated particles. The next part, that is forced convection. In forced convection, the flow of fluid is caused by a pump. That is, the convection is being forced. It is not acting freely. It is generally caused by pump, fan, or by atmospheric winds. Examples of some forced convection are flow of water in condenser tubes, fluid passing through the tubes of a heat exchanger, air conditioning insulation. As in air conditioning insulation, we see that we are being provided with cold air, which has less temperature than the atmospheric air, and cooling of internal combustion engine. Some of the example of free convection or natural convection are chilling effect of wind on warm body, cooling of billets in the atmosphere, and hot water heating system, which is naturally like geostations. In the next slide we can see we have the equation to calculate the rate of convection. As the temperature of the liquid increases, the liquid's volume also increases by the same factor, and this is known as displacement. Here we have the rate of convection, which states that Q equal to Hc into A into T Ts minus Tf. Here Ts is the surface temperature. Here Ts is the surface temperature and Tf is the fluid temperature. A is the area of heat transfer and Hc is the coefficient of convective heat transfer. Here in this diagram we can see that the temperature of the surface will be Ts, this one, and the temperature of the above fluid will be this Ts, and the area will be this, and the area A will be this whole area. Next we have radiation. Now the thermal radiation is the transfer of heat in the form of radiant energy or wave motion from one body to across an intervening space. Heat through radiation is by three different phases. First one is conversion of thermal energy of the hot source into electromagnetic waves. So all the bodies which are above the absolute temperature, that means above 0 Kelvin, are capable of emitting radiant energy. Energy released by a radiating surface is not continuous, but it is in the form of successive and separate packets which are known as photons, or they are also known as quanta. The next step is passage of wave motion through intervening space. The photons they act as a carrier for uh, they act as a carrier and they travel through the medium. It is not basically a medium, it can also be a space. Then we have a third phase, which is transformation of waves into heat. When the photons approach the cold receiving surface, there occurs reconversion of a wave motion. Means firstly with the energy was converted into electromagnetic wave. Now they are converted back into they are converted back. The wave motion is converted back into the thermal energy, which is partially absorbed or reflected or transmitted through a receiving surface. So here you can read that as the temperature rises, the wavelength in the spectra of the radiation emitted decreases and shorter wavelengths of radiation are emitted. The thermal radiation can be calculated by Stefan-Boltzmann law. This Stefan-Boltzmann law is the this Stefan-Boltzmann law we can calculate the power, which states that power equal to E into sigma into area into Tr minus Tc to the power 4. So Tr is the temperature of the radiator temperature and T is the surrounding temperature. P is the net power of the radiation, A is the area of radiation, and E is the emissivity, and sigma states Stefan constant. Here we can see that here we know that between sun and earth there is no medium, so radiation can also get transferred from space. And here between these logs of wood and between our hand there is some atmosphere and still radiation can be transferred. So next we will study about heat capacity. Heat capacity of an object helps to define how that object's temperature responds to the absorbing and transmitting heat. Heat capacity is defined as the change in heat divided by the change in temperature. In the next slide we have thermal resistance. So thermal resistance is a heat property and a measurement of temperature difference by which an object or material resists a heat flow. The rate of heat flow is directly proportional to the driving potential and inversely to the flow resistance. So this gives us this equation which states that heat flow rate Q is equal to temperature potential dt divided by temperature resistance dx by K into A. Sometimes heat conducting capacity of a given material is also expressed in terms of unit thermal resistance and unit thermal conductance. This states that RT equal to dx by K and C equal to 1 by RT, which is inverse, which equal to K by dx. So heat transfer Q equal to minus of Ka dt by dx. dt is the temperature difference and dx is the distance over which the heat is to be transferred, small distance, which gives us K into A T1 minus T2 divided by dx. Next we have this is further converted like Q equal to area into T1 minus T2 divided by R1. Here K by dx has been replaced by 1 by RT equal to C into A T1 minus T2. C is the thermal conductance. In the next slide we have steady and unsteady heat transfer. So heat transfer between two systems. The heat transfer between two systems may take place under steady or stable heat condition or unstable or unsteady heat condition. So steady state implies that temperature at each point in a system remains constant in a course of time. This is defined as T equal to, which is function of x, y and z coordinates, where dt by d tau equal to 0. That means at each and every point in a system the temperature remains constant. The typical examples of steady heat transfer are cooling of an electric bulb by surrounding atmosphere and heat flow from the product of combustion to water in tubes of boiler. Next we have unsteady heat transfer. Under unsteady heat transfer condition, temperature of the system changes continuously with time. Here temperature T equal to function of x, y, z and tau. Tau means with respect to time, and dt by d tau is not equal to 0. Next we have significance of heat transfer. What is the main role of heat transfer and their important role in day-to-day life? First one is design of heat generators, condensers and other heat exchange equipments in power plant. They are also used in along with power plants, they are also used in solar energy conversion, for space heating and for electric power production. Next is IC engines, refrigerators and air conditioner units. The operation of refrigeration and air conditioner units depend greatly on the effectiveness of transfer of heat in condensers and evaporators. Next we have design of cooling systems of electric motors, generators and transformers in electrical engineering, so that the heat generated during the flow of current through the windings of these machines can be effectively dissipated. This is to avoid the condition which will cause overheating and the damage of equipments. The next main reason to to study the significance of heat transfer is evaporation, condensation, heating and cooling of fluids in chemical operations. There is hardly any chemical operations which do not involve heating or cooling of a material at some stage or the another. Next is construction of dams and other heavy structures. The calculation of thermal expansion of suspension bridges and railway tracks helps in minimization of uh, minimization of uh, helps in minimization of the damage due to continuous expansion and contraction. Then we have the proper functioning of valves and other control operated by temperature changes, thermal control of space vehicles. In next point, we for the heat treatment of metals. So where diffusion rate of carbon in steel is required to be made to estimate the period for which the steel component must be exposed to carbonizing atmosphere. In the next, we have dispersion of atmospheric pollutants. So the problem of thermal pollution associated with the discharge of a large amount of waste heat from a power plant to environment. So industrial exhaust gases laden with noxious pollutants are discharged high enough. This is to ensure that the time pollutants diffuse to downward, their concentration falls below safe limit. So now we come to the main topic, which is general general heat conduction equation in spherical coordinates. Now in next slide, we have this y-axis, this is x-axis, and this is z-axis. We have a point T with r, phi and theta. This point T is at angle theta with z-axis and angle phi with x-axis. Now we have this infinite small spherical volume element with QR, and this is QR plus DR. Then we have Q phi, and this is Q phi plus D phi. Then we have a Q theta, and this is Q theta plus D theta. The length of this element is R d theta. This element is R d theta. The length of this element between between these two lines is R sine theta d phi, and the length of last element is dr. So coming next, we can read here that the general heat conduction equation in spherical coordinate can be set up by considering an infinite small spherical volume element, which is this whole part, infinite small spherical volume element. In this dV is the small volume, which is r which is dr into r d theta into r sine theta d phi. And writing the heat balance equation in r, theta and phi directions, three directions, r direction, theta direction and phi direction. Here we take some assumptions, which is thermal conductivity is K, density is rho, and specific heat is labeled by C for the material which do not vary with position. We consider that all these are uniform properties and they do not vary with position. Uniform heat generation at the rate of Qg per unit volume per unit time. We consider a uniform heat generation at the rate of Qg per unit volume per unit time. Now coming to the first in the phi direction, that means r theta plane. Here we can see that we have phi direction and r theta plane. Phi direction means this direction. This direction. So we will take this direction. The heat influx is Q phi, where heat influx means heat coming, that is equal to minus of K into dr into r d theta into del t by r sin theta del phi into d tau del tau. This is the heat influx equation, and the heat efflux equation, which is the heat going out, which is q phi plus d phi equal to q phi, which is as it is upper equation, plus del by r sin theta del phi into q phi r sin theta d phi. So so uh, so this equation is the heat efflux equation. Heat stored in the elemental volume due to the heat flow in phi direction is dq phi equal to q phi minus q phi plus d phi, which will be equal to, subtracting these both, we will get minus of 1 by r sin theta del by del phi into q phi r sin theta d phi. We have to basically subtract influx. We have to basically subtract efflux and influx. Now going to next slide. From this last equation, we simplify to get minus of 1 by r sin theta del by del phi into q phi r sin theta d phi, which will be equal to minus of 1 by r sin theta del phi into del by del phi. So here we are given q phi. Here we will substitute the equation from previous one. So this one q phi, we will substitute this equation, and we will write here minus of k dr into r d theta into 1 by r sin theta del t by del phi into d tau into r sin theta d phi as it is. Simplifying this equation, we get k into dr into r d theta into r sin theta d phi into 1 by r square sin square theta del square t by del phi square into d tau. This is labeled as equation 1. So this whole equation is labeled as equation 1. Next we have to find heat flow through r phi plane, that is theta direction. So which is theta direction? Here we can see this. Here we want to see the. So I will label the theta direction. So So this is the theta direction. So this is a theta direction, q theta and q theta plus d theta. So heat flow through r phi plane, theta direction. Heat influx of q theta equal to heat flux, heat coming out is minus of k into dr into r sin theta d phi into del t by r del theta into d tau, and heat efflux which is going out is q theta plus d theta equal to q theta means which is influx plus del by r del theta into q theta r d theta. The net heat stored in the elemental volume due to the heat flow in theta direction d theta dq theta equal to q theta minus q theta plus d theta, which is equal to minus of del by r d theta into q theta into r d theta. Here we will substitute value of uh, q theta, and which is equal to from here heat influx equation we will substitute value of q theta equal to minus of del by r d theta into minus k into dr into r sin theta d phi into del t by r del theta into d tau r d theta. Simplifying this equation we will get k by r dr into r d phi into r d theta divided by r is a radius, into del by del theta into sin theta del t by del theta into d tau. Simplifying the whole equation we get equation 2, which is k into dr into r d theta into r sin theta d phi into 1 by r square sin theta del by del theta sin theta del t by del theta into d tau. This is equation 2. Now we have to calculate the heat flow in r direction, which is theta phi plane, which is r direction. So here we have to calculate in r direction, that is this opposite direction coming from backside to the front. This is r direction. We have to calculate flow in this r direction. So the heat influx will be qr equal to minus of k r d theta into r sin theta d phi into del t by del r into d tau. So this is the heat influx equation, and then heat efflux equation is qr plus dr equal to qr means heat influx plus del r into qr into dr. The heat storage in the elemental volume due to heat flow in the r direction will be the subtraction of both of them, that is heat efflux minus heat influx. On subtracting this we get minus of del by del r into qr into dr equal to minus of del by del r. So here we will substitute value of qr. Here we are given the value of this qr, and write here equal to minus k into r d theta into r sin theta d phi into del t by del r into d tau into dr equal to k d theta sin theta d phi dr del by del r square del t by del r d rho. d tau. From this we get third equation. Simplifying whole of this equation, we get a third equation which states k dr into r d theta into r sin theta d phi 1 by r square into del by del r square del t by del r into d tau. This is third equation. So now we'll write one more equation which is heat generated within the control volume, which is Qg into dV into d tau. This is considered as fourth equation. Then we have one more equation, rate of change of energy within the control volume, which is specified as rho into dV into C into del T by del tau into d tau. Here C is the specific heat and rho is the density. As here we can see, C is the specific heat and rho is the density. So this is our fifth equation. Then for energy balance consideration, the rate of change of energy within the control volume equals to the total storage plus the internal heat generation. Here we will do the energy balance. So it comes as K into dV. We combine all the equations and we get K into dV into 1 by r sine square theta, r square sine square theta, del square t by del phi square plus 1 by r square sine theta by del theta into sine theta into del t by del phi del theta plus 1 by r square del by del r square del t by del r del into d tau plus this equation qg dv dt is equal to the total this fifth equation, which is rho into dV into specific heat del T by del tau into d tau. We have to divide this whole equation with k dV into d tau, which gives us this equation 1 by r square sine square theta into del square t by del phi square plus 1 by r square sine theta into del by del theta sine theta del t by del theta plus and all these plus qg by k equal to rho into c by k into del t by del tau, which is further written as 1 by alpha into del t by del tau. So this is the equation number 6 is the general heat conduction for the spherical coordinates. For a steady state unidirectional heat flow in the radial direction for a sphere with no internal heat generation, we have to consider this no internal heat generation. It can be written as 1 by r square into d by dr r square dt by dr equal to 0, which is seventh equation. Then the one-dimensional time-dependent heat conduction equation can be written more compactly as 1 by r power n del by del r into r power n k into dt by del r plus qg plus equal to rho c del t by del tau. This is eighth equation, where n if we fill values of n equal to 0, we will get rectangular coordinates. If we put r equal to if we put n equal to 1, we will get cylindrical coordinates, and if we put n equal to 2, we will get spherical coordinates. So this was all about topic. Thank you.